Sadly, and I really wish this was not the case, Kingdoms of Amalur was a disappointment. I was hoping that it was going to be an absolutely awesome, fun experience, but sadly, the waves of reality crashed over me. The game starts off pretty fun. The first about 5 hours, you're really going to enjoy it. After that, you're going to realize you're just going to be playing those same 5 hours again and again and again and again and again and again. The only thing that really stood out during the whole thing was a couple of boss battles. And those couple of boss battles were very few and far between because most of the average boss battles were the exact same thing as regular combat. The fight with Baylor was kind of fun. Gadflow, fun. The DLC wasn't bad. I only did one of the DLCs that was added to Re-Reckoning. Um, Going through the Teeth of the Narrows was fun, but it was mostly just the same thing. At least with the Teeth of the Narrows, there were a couple new enemy types, and uh, that's probably the biggest complaint that I had throughout the entire game. So once you get out of the first area, the forest area, you'd think you'd start coming across new enemies, but no, you're fighting the same enemies through the entire game, and that's it. There's like 20 enemy types at best. Um, the music's mid. The story, mid. The gameplay, repetitive. The leveling up, not that great. I mean, yeah, you've got a skill tree, but it's not that great. The whole thing. And I was like, you know what? I've never beaten this game. I played it when it first came out on the PlayStation 3 when I was super hyped about it. And then on the flip side, uh, did purchase Re-Reckoning for the Switch, so I played it for a little bit on the Switch, and now I played it on the PlayStation 5. Jump cut time. Sorry, one of my kids' toys all of a sudden, the battery was dying, and it just started doing like a frog croak. I was like, what? Okay, back to where I was. So when I first played the game, way back when it first released, I was super excited because the story was written by R.A. Salvatore, the guy who did The Legend of Drizzt. And I was really into his books at this time. And what we got was a very, very plain game. Now, you had some neat concepts. Your character is essentially a zombie who's been brought back using magic, essentially. Like they were trying to craft a way of making the dead come back to use them as, you know, warriors to fight against the Tuatha De Danann. The only problem is that from this point on, you're the chosen one because you're the only undead that's come back right. And now you have broken from fate. And because your fate has been broken, you can change everybody else's fate. And that sounds cool until you start playing the game where everybody has to rely on you because there's no other choice. Because nobody has, well, they have free will, but their fate is already sealed. And the bad guys are allowed to essentially break fate because they're working on freeing Tirnoch, this giant evil dragon who wants to destroy the world. And apparently she's fated to destroy the world, but you, because your fate has been broken, are capable of not letting her out. And from this point on, it is just simply fight the bad guys, and stop their plans, assemble an army, and move forward and change fate with every step. And it sounds like on paper like it's going to be really good, but it wasn't. The whole thing is set in like a world with fairies and the different types of fairies, which you have. It's important to point out that the she, that's Sidhe, is from, Irish mythology and stuff. So, well, I should say English mythology. And that is the higher ranking fae, which you have the winter court and the summer court, and then the wild fae. But then the Tuatha, which they are definitely Irish, they're like the Irish royalty of fae. They're the villains in this, and you can choose to be one of two different types of humans or one of two different types of elves, and there are dwarves and gnomes and at least when you got to the teeth of the Narrows, you dealt with the Colossi, which were giant stone people, and that was kind of fun. But the rest of the game was everybody's fate is sealed until you come in to change their fate and fight against everything and go through, and you're the only one. Your ability with your fate being broken, you can even kill immortals. And so you go on a giant killing spree throughout the entire game. And that's the game the whole way through. Go on a fetch quest. Go kill these things over there. Go find a bounty, etc., etc. And all the quests are the exact same. And I wound up being level 29 when I beat the game, and I beat it on hard because the game is very easy, even on hard. At the very beginning, it wasn't that easy, but if you build your blacksmithing up to maximum and then just start crafting your armor and weapons. And then the other thing is I've tried every weapon variety, and the best weapons that I found in the game were the Fey Blades and the Chakrams. And then I just never switched because even if I had something that was stronger, the speed that you can use these and dodging and everything, it just, I don't know, it got very repetitive. And by the time I started getting out of the forest area, I was starting to get a little bored. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to fast track beating the game. Now, there's probably lots of other side quests, but all the side quests are go to a place, fight some people, or collect something, and bring it back. And that's the game over and over again. The fight with Baylor was pretty neat because you had a giant enemy, and this, of course, is also from Irish mythology. He is the leader of the Fomorians, and it is said that when his one eye is opened, a beam of energy would come out, and, they did capture that, and his design was pretty neat. He was, the size of a building, and you had to fight him. But the final boss, Tiernock, was incredibly disappointing because all you had to do was fight the little fate minions till your fate bar got, powered up, and then you shot a beam of energy at Tiernock. Repeat, repeat, repeat the whole way through. And it's like that's nothing. Now, I don't know what else post game there is to do. I just was done. I didn't want to play anymore at this time. Maybe I'll go back and, try to get some more trophies, but I'm not really that worried about platinuming games. If it's on sale and you want to play it, sure. I would probably not even pay $20 for this game, to be honest. Maybe 10 at most. It's really not a good game overall, unless you want to do the same thing repetitively the whole way through for like 30, 40 hours. I mean, I did stream it probably for a good 30 hours, and if I were to try to do all the side quests, it'd take even longer. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Kingdoms of Amalur. I wish it was better.